Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Ron, Monday, April 27th, 2026, 6:03 p.m. So we'll get started and see if we have any questions. See if anybody have anything they'd like to discuss. Last couple of days we've been, of course, we more details in this, but we've kind of been expressing empathy and that as an emotion and looking at examples of it and some other things, of course. Looking at the history of the Jews and some other topics that we discussed. But does anyone have had a chance to give this some thought and have any questions about it? Any of it?
I Yesterday, Ron, are you able to
Yes.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yesterday, when we were on, we talked about the understanding of who we pray to, or the difference between prayer and meditation, more specifically. I
Yes.
wanted to be sure that that everyone was able to not only have it resonate with them, but to see it more clearly than they had in the past. If there's anyone who has any questions about that, please let us know. But raising a question or making a comment.
I just got a comment, Red. This is Charles. I'm glad you
Uh,
brought it to the head to where I can understand what you were saying because I had brought that question to you a while back like that. And now I understand it ain't about saying things or putting in words. It's about uh, being solid and try your best to connect,
no, no,
you
no,
know,
no.
to the ancestors.
No, no. It's not trying your best to connect, Charles. It's knowing that you're already one with the ancestors, and the thing that makes you feel like you're not connected is the things that you go through. Um, that flows through your mind, and in order for that to not make you feel like you're disconnected, you don't try to push anything out of your mind. You just don't think about it. You just let it flow right through. And when I say flow right through, I'm talking about not not stopping to try to figure out why it's there, what it means, none of that. Just let it flow right through because you are always connected to the ancestors because you are one with the ancestors. I think a better way and more efficient way of saying it is that everything that is spiritual, everything that is light or enlightenment, we are already one with it, so we don't have to necessarily connect to it. Is that clear? You understand what I'm making an effort to say?
I understand. I'm glad you brought that out. I
Okay,
mean, I feel more attached now.
okay, okay, good. Thank you.
Oh man, you
Is
welcome.
there anyone else? Is there anyone else who may need any more clarity on that, or anything else for that matter? I'm unable to see who's on. So is Shelton or Nick on?
Uh,
Yes, this is Shelton. I'm on.
Okay. Are you prepared to add to what you and Nick sent to us on Saturday, since we were not able to get to it yesterday?
No, well, as of yesterday, I was handing that off to Nick. What I still had was the felony part, but I'm not sure if he wants to go
I didn't understand you, Sheldon. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm not sorry.
I was saying,
Apologize.
yes. I was saying no, I didn't. Oh yeah, yes, sir. I said no, I didn't have anything left to say in regards to what Nick was planning on talking about. I only had the rest of the melanin part. Was actually looking forward and whatever, and able to help with whatever Nick had to say in terms of my understanding of it.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. Ron?
I don't have anything. I was hoping they get into that a little bit further as well. Uh, yeah, I don't have anything.
Well, if there are no questions or there are no comments, then I strongly suggest that we don't just stay on because we're on, but we wait until Saturday and see where Nick and Sheldon are going to carry us on this journey. However, in the meantime, don't let anything become a distraction to you that will cause you to lose sight of who you are and shift your focus from the journey and purpose for the journey that we have been traveling for quite some time now. So if there are no questions or comments, then
I do
I
have a
believe
question.
you guys are doing. Go ahead.
Audrey has a question. Yeah.
Go ahead, Audrey.
Hey, I was just thinking about that question you had, Ron, about when Sheldon was talking about this melanin superpowers. Did we ever finish that? Because I wanted to know more about that too. Did you finish
I
that,
agree with
Sheldon?
you all. I hadn't thought about that.
No, I wasn't. There were well, there's one that I wanted to actually save for Nick, but there are at least two more that I wanted, two or three more that I wanted to speak on, and I definitely can do that. There were several things that we've mentioned about melanin thus far, and the first part, what I was attempting to do, is to talk about this, putting ourselves aside for a second, this miraculous substance that allows literally what we call life to exist on this earth. And it's a shame, and I was talking to Pastor Richard, it's automatically the case that it is an intentional that this isn't actually more talked about, because it is one of the most amazing, spectacular things on this earth in the physical, if not actually the most amazing, magical, miraculous, superpower like thing. So I was also starting off with just talking about melanin from the physical standpoint of it, and then just understanding and grasping that, or being able to marvel really in the remarkableness of it, and then see how further that same so above, so below, how that same tendency actually penetrates and is more deeply part of the spiritual. So for every physical aspect of or superpower of melanin, there's also a corresponding spiritual aspect of it that actually came for that. The physical is just a, what's the word I'm looking for? It is just a further representation of that superpower in a physical form, I would say.
Sure.
So one, any questions or comments so far?
Don't think so.
All right.
Nope, keep going.
Okay.
No, I agree with you.
So one of the other super powers of melanin, it is considered the brain's bodyguard. And any questions, I'm just going to read, what I had down and go into it and expand, as well as all the other teachers happily as needed and wherever we're led. Okay. we don't just have melanin on the outside of our bodies. We have a special type deep inside our brains too. In the brain, melanin acts like a sticky sponge or a magnet. Over our lifetimes, heavy metals and toxins can build up in our brains. Melanin grabs onto those dangerous metals and locks them away so they can't hurt our brain cells. Scientists have noticed that when the brain melanin disappears, it is linked to diseases like Parkinson's. So that is and a lot of this, I've learned a lot about melanin from the physical and a lot I didn't know about. I did know quite a bit of the stuff from the spiritual, but I did not know the connection. Now, as I said before, that what I just named, which is the physical aspect of melanin, but further and deeper than than just the physical, again, the whole point is for us to get to understand first, to understand the miraculousness of melanin, and then to go further and deeper in understanding how that is who we are and connected to who we are beyond this physical avatar, or physical body, if you will. All right.
Sheldon,
So,
question.
yes, sir.
So you mentioned it disappearing. What causes that? Is that because of the chemicals it eats away at it, or is it from aging, or what causes it to disappear?
I'm not sure exactly what caused it to disappear at all. I must definitely admit and say that. I just know that it is the regulator that actually cleans and acts as a filter of sorts. I don't even know how the toxins are actually discarded, if they're discarded at all or just held in a certain place. But in a sense, in terms of our brain system, it actually cleans it out so that those toxins are actually not harmful as it relates to our brain function.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have to look further into that to try to be able to respond to that later, though. All right. Now, the biological trait is mentioned to you.
Let me ask you, Sheldon.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Before you
sir.
move forward, let me ask you a question about the dangerous metals. So, are you saying that, like the metals that's in vaccinations, like aluminum, or like mercury?
I can hear you, Pastor Rich. I can hear you at a nice volume, but it's a bit unclear in terms of me understanding all the words and following.
Okay. My question is, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, are we saying that the mercury or the aluminum, the metals that's in vaccinations, that the melanin cleans them out of our brains so they won't do harm?
Yeah, any toxins that's in our brains in the same way, toxins in our cells, et cetera. Melanin actually acts as more so as a cleaning agent, or putting things in place as you, if you will, kind of like an intelligence that but enables things to actually operate properly as they're actually designed. And for a lack of melanin, a breakdown of that melanin is when you have diseases and things actually taking place. In some sense, it is a regulator. And as we have seen with the radiation with Chernobyl, and as we're seeing in terms of protecting from even DNA, we're seeing that this melanin does that in many different areas. It's not just one little small thing, again, with it being like this amazing superpower that does all these miraculous things. And they're actually being indestructible at the same time.
Okay. I can see that. My reason for asking, of course, was because of them using vaccines now to inject dangerous metals and other mRNA messages into our system. That's what I want to get some clarity on that.
Yeah. Yes. Even I listened to what Nick had sent out to some of us yesterday as well, and so I informed, and that brings up that idea as well that I had read elsewhere, where even in terms of when they're actually testing on the genes of mice, they have to do so with mice that actually don't have melanin, a lot of melanin, in order to be able to, I think, I can't remember if they were using UV rays or lasers, but in splicing genes and things like that. But they can't use the heavily melanated mice because the genes will not allow them to actually do so. So there you go. And go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm going to ask you to do something in a moment.
Oh, I was just saying that's to your question and what was talked about, I believe, a week or two ago when we were actually talking about the ability for RNA to actually have an effect on our bodies. And it also goes back to what Nick and I actually mentioned in terms of just like melanin, which we are indestructible. The only thing that actually happens in terms of destruction is giving that up through our own ideas and will. But it cannot be taken by force.
Okay. When you look at that other portion of Sheldon, would you delve into that a little bit more as well in terms of the reason that melanated rats cannot be used for these tests and see how it works in relationship to us and melanin as humans? Or as, yeah.
Yes, I will. Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. From now, the biological trait that we just mentioned, neuromelanin resides deep in the brain, acting as a molecular sponge that safely locks away toxic heavy metals to protect the nervous system. The esoteric, more so concept, or the spiritual concept of that is the seat of the soul in psychic filtration. So there's a great importance that is put on the energy center associated with the pineal gland, the third eye, and gateway work. Neuromelanin cluster heavily around the brainstem and near the pineal gland is viewed as a physical anchor for this. And then as it relates to, and this is where Nick or even George Clark might know more, be able to speak more about. I think I heard him mention Black Dot earlier this weekend. In ancient Egyptian, Kemetic, and African esoteric alchemy, the biological presence of neuromelanin is linked to the black dot, the hidden inner sun or the doorway to the unconscious. Just as neuromelanin filters out physical neurotoxins, esoterically it acts as a psychic filter. It protects the mind from lower astral interference, allowing the individual to access higher spiritual dimensions and deeper inner vision safely. The pineal gland and melanin is interesting because melanin actually, the pineal gland actually has melatonin, which is actually produced, which induces sleep. And that sleep state, in a sense, is to actually kind of turn down, in a sense, the physical realm, so that focus can be more so on the spiritual, so more so on the astral plane, the Akashic, or the realm of the ancestors as well.
Okay, Sheldon, another question. When you
Yes,
talk
sir.
about when you mention rather, it protects us from focusing solely on the physical plane, right?
Yes.
Is this active when we are engaging in meditation? Does it make it?
Yes. This is,
Okay, could you?
oh, go ahead. Sorry. I got excited.
Yeah, could you mention that, please? Speak about that, please.
Yes, that's precisely what it is. As I mentioned, the third eye, and we actually talking about it, is allowing the third eye to actually open and be able to see, because the only thing that we actually see from the physical standpoint, and let's say, if you want to say day, is the physical world. But in order to see in the night, in a sense, the light has to be turned off in order to see through the eye, you have to turn off or dim the eyes, if you will. So this is exactly what I'm actually talking about.
So what we're saying then is, when we seek to enter into a state of meditation, if we do it with intention of simply receiving from the esoteric, from the spiritual realm, from the receiving enlightenment, that is our intention. So then, if we cease trying to push things out of our minds, if we stop trying to not think about stuff and just relax, then we are more apt to enter this state of meditation. And if we become comfortable with the lack of noise when we are seeking spiritual enlightenment, then it makes it a lot easier for the melanin to do its job, because by virtue of us doing those things that we should be, like being upset, being uncomfortable, by being quiet, trying to push things out of our minds, we are actually battling against the energy of melanin that is giving us the quiet time to receive. Am I right?
Yes. The only thing, the key part of that, which we're actually learning to do more and more and becoming more comfortable with, because it's actually natural. It's kind of like more so that we've unlearned and fought it, is to actually just have that desire, and it actually happens. And as we stop fighting and allow it to happen, it happens naturally. It automatically happens in a sense as well, just because as a people, we are a knowing people, where we automatically bring in certain information that cannot actually be explained, but just the fact that we actually know things. So not only are we just talking about meditation, which of course is like turning the brightness or opening up the third eye even fuller to see more. I'm also saying that we already see. It's already been happening as long as we can actually remember, and been happening on a regular basis. But yes, we are the ones who allow that to happen, and we are also already gifted in that way. Where I'm not even going to say gifted like we have that ability. I'm going to say that is actually us.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Okay, right. Please hold your question. Right, quick, just to add on. There's a lot of stuff that we talk about, and we talk about who we are and our abilities and what is actually natural to us. It is not so much that we even need to so much learn how to do these things, because these things actually take place automatically. We more so need to stop doing the things that we quote unquote learn that hinder the things that we naturally do. Not that we can't do anything, it's more so that we have convinced ourselves or are looking elsewhere and just not doing them. Or not doing them to a much higher degree, which I want to say will, but also was thinking about I am recently a lot today. I'm going to say we are doing. And so I'm saying that now, not will as in it will happen in the future. I'm saying it is happening now. This is what we are now walking in to. This is what we are.
Thank you.
Finished.
Okay, so children do it all the time, right? And does what we're talking about deals with or coincides with the scripture say, when you come as a little child? Is that the same concept?
Yes, it is. A little child is not confined by the physical world in deciding what is and isn't, and what is and isn't real. What is or isn't as it should be, and what isn't and is real.
So
There's
that's why I
certain
have to
things.
say, you go ahead. I'm sorry. Thought you were finished.
No. Go ahead.
So, Pastor, is that why you say when children talking to another energy or entity or doing certain things, we should not ignore that? As a matter of fact, to me, I think children are our teachers, especially the young ones. Is that why you said that, Pastor? Because they're in tune more so than we are.
Yeah, I say that no, you should not ignore it. As a matter of fact, you should encourage it by asking questions and talking with them and not making them feel uncomfortable. Because keep in mind that children are innocent in terms of their thoughts and in their visions. So I do indeed think that we can learn quite a bit from them in that regard.
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other thoughts or questions in regards to the brain's bodyguard, neuromelanin, the third eye, being able to see?
I guess, I'm sorry, go ahead, Audrey.
Sorry. Pastor, were you asking about how that works in the brain? How, when we were talking about the rats, how they're able to take the metals out? Were
Yes,
you asking about that?
yes, yes, I was.
I think it's through a process called chelation. And that's where a molecule will attach to the metal
Mm-hmm.
and make it soluble in water so that it can get rid of it. And I think that's the process. So I guess melanin acts as a chelation agent,
Okay,
to be able to attach
I
to
can see that.
metals.
I can very well. I can see that. That's tantamount to what happens with oregano and black seed oil when it comes to parasites, because
Mhm.
they attach to the parasites and dissolve them and pass it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome.
All right. Any other thoughts or questions on the neuromelanin and the third eye, and closing your eyes to see?
Yes, this is Angela. I got a question. So, is serotonin, is that connected to melanin?
That is a chemical produced in the brain, but I need to personally look further into that. I'm not sure of the connection between serotonin and melanin. I'm sure they work together in some type of way, but I don't know the significance of it as it relates to, to the extent that I understand and know about melanin.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have to get back with you on that. At least myself, I'm not sure if there's anyone else on the call who can actually answer that, or who knows a little bit more. Sorry, my apologies. All right. If there are no other questions at this moment, and surely we can always go back if anything were to come up with anyone. We move on to the unbreakable shield. And so initially I tried to explain what was actually happening in Chernobyl, but I have like a little example that might be a little bit easier to understand. as we move on to the spiritual alchemy of melanin as it relates to the unbreakable shield. All right. So from the physical, with the Chernobyl, imagine throwing a high-speed baseball at a glass window. The window shatters. This is what ultraviolet, UV, sunlight, and nuclear radiation usually do to the DNA in our cells. Now, again, the DNA that's in our cells, why that is important, is the DNA is actually a set of directions that are copied over and over again every time a new cell is actually produced. Those directions are then there to tell the cell exactly how to produce, what to make in the cell. Is almost as if it is the recipe. All right? When that DNA is not copied correctly, all of a sudden the cells that are born afterwards either stop being made or they just don't know or not made properly. This is all what, quote unquote, what science consider living organisms that are physical or made up of many cells. Okay. All right. Melanin acts like a magical catcher's mitt for that baseball that we just talked about going at a glass window. When the high energy baseball, that ultraviolet UV or sunlight, baseball hits melanin, the melanin catches it and instantly turns that destructive energy into harmless, gentle heat. It happens in a fraction of a blink of an eye. Because of this, it protects our cells from being scrambled by the sun. So in order for when we consider organisms that live on this earth and having melanin and being able to actually, to some extent, absorb and prevent the power of the sun, the radiation and energy from the sun, because it's too powerful, from actually messing up that copy, that DNA that I just mentioned. The DNA, if you will, is fragile. Melanin is this unbreakable shield that automatically protects it, which also means that in order for things cannot exist or live on this earth without having some type of protection from that, the rays of the sun. Everything. Now, moving on from that, hopefully
would you repeat that?
Yes, sir.
Would you repeat that again about the protection? Like being like a catcher's mitt?
That melanin, which is in the cells to different degrees, is what allows things to quote unquote live on this earth, to actually exist, to allow that fragile DNA to copy itself. Without melanin to actually protect, or in a sense, take the very strong energy and ultraviolet rays from the sun and diffuse it, if you will, which actually deals with time and actually slowing it down so that it exists in the physical form, then living cells do not exist. They're not able to produce. When you talk about cancers and mutations and things like that, that is what happens when the DNA is actually not protected.
Okay. My question in regards to that is, are we saying that melanin protects our DNA from mRNA markers?
MRA, you said?
mRNA. Like
yes.
the markers there. So you're saying that we are protected from that by melanin?
Yes.
Okay.
So
yes, that's absolutely what I'm actually saying, to the point, and to go further while we're talking about this physical, and again that this isn't even talked about more. It is this is absolutely a necessary and why they are taking melanin from this, learning this from Chernobyl into space and trying to learn about it, because there has to be protection. And for space travel to exist and for human beings to actually traverse interstellarly and in the solar system and things of that nature, they have to have this protection. And so it is literally the black people who walk around on the earth that themselves have a more larger quantity of being protected and the protection that is required in space. We black. Go ahead.
No, go
I have a
ahead.
question.
I'm sorry. I wanted to go back to the mRNA in a moment. Go ahead and finish the space.
Okay, well, I got a question. So how's the DNA protected?
That's part of
The
the
DNA.
follow-up I want to ask.
Oh, okay.
Right. The DNA is protected because the melanin is what, as it was in the brain's bodyguard, actually absorbs, in a sense, or does what is actually necessary in order to keep the integrity of the DNA. It is a protector, it is a healer, it is a grower.
It stops the, for example, radiation from making changes in your DNA, making harmful changes in your DNA, or stripping out genes or chromosomes or whatever. It protects you from that happening.
So that is what's being said when we hear scientists or doctors talk about that COVID vaccine was a test case to see how effective the message would be that they sent through the mRNA that was directed primarily at black folks, to see how they would their bodies would respond to it. So, having said that, well, let me back up a little bit. And the reason I raised that is because I do remember when we first started dealing with the COVID vaccine, what was said is we need to make sure that black people are vaccinated first because they are the most vulnerable ones. And I took that to mean something totally different than what I see it to mean now. In the beginning, I was looking at it as us as a people receiving less attention when it comes to health care and living under conditions that would be more conducive to us getting catching the COVID virus, or however you want to state it. I don't know. But anyway, but now I see that as an effort to vaccinate us first and to put us in a state of mind where we would rush to get it, be the first to get it, and be the first to be observed as to how it was going to affect our bodies, because it was designed to send a message to the DNA. And what message it was sending to the DNA was a message that was destructive to the body. And I can get into that later on. But right now, what I'm looking at, asking rather, is that with this understanding, that we are saying that our melanin protects us from this mRNA, which is a lab-produced, type of messenger of RNA, because the body naturally produces it. But this is a manufactured RNA that we're talking about. Are we saying that we are protected from that?
Yeah.
Or are we
And
saying,
all of.
or are
Go
we,
ahead. Sorry.
okay,
Go ahead, Father.
or are we saying that if our mindset is one that is conducive to the detriment that it can do, that mindset overrides what our bodies are capable of doing because we are not embracing it? What are we saying here?
Oh, yes. Our bodies are capable. We're already equipped to do many things. As Ron asked about the superpower of melanin, we are superpowers, which is the that's the whole point of all of this, or the awareness or the understanding, the knowing. We only can make ourselves weak in our thinking or what it is that we decide that we actually want to accept.
Okay.
Which of course is the reason or the need for religion. But just simply accepting this, understanding this automatically, if you will, for lack of a better word, covers you. We are automatically good. We have to, when I mentioned before, it is what we decide and what we think. We have to make the decision and say, or make a pact or agreement, if you will, and just believe that we are not protected in the way that you just mentioned, and then so it is. But as an act of decision, without it ever actually being a thought, whether or not I am protected, then I am automatically at a default protected. Only I can make the decision of saying, I don't believe I'm protected.
So we're the activators of it.
It's automatically activated. We only can just turn it off.
Okay. All right.
Wasn't that proven in Africa though when the virus first came out? And I can't remember if it was France or Italy said let's test it in Africa first. And if I remember correctly, it did not have the same effect in Africa that it was having in other parts of the world.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
So if I understand what you're asking,
Yeah, I see. I remember now that they did do that, and it didn't.
yeah,
But it did. It did wreak havoc on weaker bodies in this country.
yes,
It did, in the Cabellonia community in particular. It did wreak havoc. But I think also that had a lot to do with diet, the poisonous in our foods, etc. I think it had a lot to do with that. But I think this is this is not a discussion that is haphazard. Because as we speak, Bill Gates and his buddies are in labs or financing laboratory research to come up with mRNA and viruses that will reduce, would you mute your phone, please, 081, that will, hey, Don, would you reach your, Don, mute your phone, please. Vermel, would you mute 081? Thank you. So they are in laboratories, are researching messages to put in the mRNA that will reduce the population, more specifically, the population of Cabelonians. Since that COVID vaccine did not work the way they thought it was in Africa, that's the testing ground for the mRNA messaging through the vaccines that they are doing right now. And I've said, and I've said again, there's nowhere in hell that they will ever give me another vaccine. If I leave this earth, I leave it without it. That's for sure. So I want to ask another question to Captain Neal. Did you get your answer, your question responded to?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll tell you something else that this whole discussion made me think about because we've talked about some of the medicines out there that work or don't work, and we say, well, they're never tested on us, or they're never intended for us. Maybe they can't be tested on us. Maybe those medicines uh, will not be effective on us because the intent of the medicine is not genuine. So it's not going to have the desired effect based on what I'm understanding. What Sheldon says is your desire and your uh the strength of your mind and how you look at this has a lot to do with it. Your intent has a lot to do with it. So if I'm making medicine that is to be detrimental to you, it will not or cannot have that effect on people of color.
I see that, Ron. I'm gonna give you a personal account. Um, the PSA of men um, is tested, and the PSA is what tests your prostate. The PSA level is tested in the prostate. However, the medium that is used to test the PSA is not endemic to black men. It does not work well with black men, period.
Okay.
However, not however, but that is the reason that it fluctuates so much with black men, and that is the reason also that black men have more prostate biopsies than anyone else because of the test of the PSA not being reliable. However, I have not known a PSA level to drop like 2+ points in 1 year. But now I am very much aware of that happening in real life. So what I'm saying is this. What we are talking about, what we are doing is having an effect medically that we never thought about. When we talk about the macro, we are always talking about changing the mindset of people so that they will function under the auspices of the principles of Mayat. But what I'm hearing now also is that we are, not in a sense, but we are actively activating melanin in a way that it has not been activated before. The words that we're speaking, the messages that we are sharing with each other in regards to this mRNA, in regard to what Ron talked about, the medications that are ineffective for us, especially high blood pressure medication. What we are doing now is putting a protective garment, for lack of a better term, in the lives of people who look like they're Babylonians, saying that we are indestructible. With regardless of how you come at us, you cannot destroy us. Neither can you hinder our health by virtue of what you create in the lab.
Yeah.
That's what I am seeing. That's what I'm seeing right now. That we are. Oh my God! That what I'm seeing. Oh my God! What I'm feeling. I guess I'm excited like Sheldon was a few moments ago because of what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is that God is saying no more. God is saying the melanin will do what it is supposed to do, and there will be no adverse responses to anything that is put in the bodies, that in our bodies. There will be no adverse actions from them. We will not jump off of the pinnacles of the temple just to tempt our Creator. What I'm saying is this: we will not take vaccination saying that we're protected. I'm not anyway. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying that I am protected because I believe that I'm God. You God. We are the divine entities in this earth. The only presence of divinity in this earth is the Cabelonians. And as such, we have made a declaration without even knowing it. We're in the process of doing that, which is actually becoming a shield to our bodies and to our organs, so that the destruction of them can be prevented. Which means that Gates and his friends who are seeking to depopulate the earth will not be successful, especially when it comes to us, because our population as a group of people has increased exponentially worldwide, while everyone else's has decreased. And that's another lesson for another day in terms of why they want to send migrants to different places. I'm done.
Well, the other thing it makes me think about too is, you remember the story of Henrietta Lack?
Yes.
And they took her cells. They're still growing her cells, even
Yes,
though
yeah.
she's been deceased for a number of years.
50s, wasn't
Maybe 10, 20 years she's been deceased. But they're still growing her cells and making drugs or whatever and testing it on those cells. But that just tells me that there is something about us that is eternal, and also for the benefit of the rest of mankind.
Yes. But
So,
Audrey, and on the heels of that, the whole understanding of medicine came from us anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
no one on earth had medicine before us. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you.
GC, did you have something?
Yes, good evening, everyone. You know, as already mentioned in reference to Henrietta Lack, you know, again, when we talk about the cosmic womb, you know, you had Henrietta Lacks, you had, again, Dr. Mae Jemison, right? The first female astronaut, okay? And then we have Sister Mary Wilhelmina, you know, whose body remains were like discovered incorrupt for like 4 years. So when you talk about, again, the importance and the power of melanin, Barbara had mentioned one time in reference to Richard King, and I want to, you know, read this if I may, because I think it ties into our discussion tonight, where, you know, it talks about the human melanin system functions as a whole, holy black body, as the inner vision eye of the soul. And, you know, maybe at some point in time, we can get into the 7 levels of the soul, but it says to produce true spiritual consciousness, creative genius, beatific vision, to become godlike, not to become godlike because we are gods, and to have conversation with the immortals, the ancestors. So again, when we talk about the human melanin system, and melanin is in everything, we now can begin to see how it all ties into the energy system. When we talk about the chakras, we could talk about it in reference to the pineal gland being, you know, the God spot or the G spot of the brain. And again, in terms of just looking at the 7 principles of Maya. So I think that the foundation, you know, is what we are coming more into awareness as far as being able to connect with what Charles said yesterday. I watched the video. Charles said, you know what I mean? When we say when we moan, when we groan, when we hum, when we experience those vibrations, those frequencies that Pastor talked about, I think that again we can see how wonderful and marvelous we are made, but more importantly, when we asked the question earlier about the superhumans or the super sapiens, when we came to that point of being Homo sapiens sapiens and our higher thinking level of who we know we are, then we move into appreciating, like I say, Henrietta Lacks, as you said, Audrey, and again, those those women, and also in terms of just that balance. So I'm just saying, a lot has been said yesterday and today and for the last couple of days we met, but I really feel it in terms of appreciating the melanin, the human melanin system functions. So I just wanted to share those thoughts. I'm done.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are created. We're not just putting in the macro. We are created. We are bringing into view in a spiritual way the essence of life. My experience at the moment is that we are not speaking as learned men and women. We are speaking as gods who are not just informed, but gods who embody the Akashic consciousness, where all information and understanding is stored. And this evening, we are indeed creating a stability in our society, a type of stability globally that is unshakable. And it is this stability that will bring in the twinkling of an eye the end to all of the chaos. And at the same time the chaos is ended, it institutes order. And it is because of the life-giving powers, the life-sustaining powers of melanin, as we create at this moment, the light that we are living in the boundaries of the pineal gland, which is made of melanin itself. The life that we are emitting from that is actually giving more empowerment to the melanin that is indeed the foundation of life. In the very near hours to come, you're going to have experiences that you have not before, and those experiences will be accompanied by an experience, a feeling, an emotional surge. You will have no doubt that this is what I am speaking of. I cannot articulate it to the extent that you will be able to understand it or to experience it before it happens. I am saying to you as I speak at this moment, there are those of you right now who this is resonating with, and what you are experiencing through this resonance is what I am talking about. It is the surge of light that is endowing the superpowers of melanin to be activated throughout this earth for the express purpose of being a shield, a protective shield to humanity, and a shield of defense against anything that is being perpetrated against mankind. And this in itself will bring a cataclysmic conclusion to the war between the U.S. And Israel and Iran. And engaged in this cataclysmic event will also be the European countries who have sought to throw the stones and hide their hands during the course of this conflict. And I say to you, don't necessarily believe in what I am saying. Watch it and see it come into play. Watch and see it happen. As I have said to you in the past, the words that are spoken about what is to be is already here. It is now for it to be manifested. As you are experiencing a sense of this manifestation as we speak. I'm done. Thank you. And I say, Ashe.
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 That's
Yes,
O'Shea.
Okay.
Okay.
I was hesitant about this, but I must say it. I speak to you, the gods, who have embraced the reality of who you are. And it is because of who you are. It is because of accepting who you are. It is for this reason that these words are being honored as they are spoken. And it is for this reason that all words that we have spoken have been words of creation and not just words that comes from meditation, but they are words of creation, and they are creating an environment that is woven into a tapestry that is reflective of Mayat. Be strong and always remember who you are.
Ashe. Good place to take a pause, guys.
Was Sheldon finished?
No,
Talk about it another day.
This is the thing which is funny. I've been sitting over here laughing on mute. I can continue, but James Richard just basically told y'all the spiritual alchemy as it relates to the unbreakable shield. But if it can help, I can certainly give you a few sentences that could add on to what he just said. So the concept we just talked about was the unbreakable shield, and that is connect to energetic transmutation. And so looking at it from an alchemical shield, and alchemical is the ability from the physical standpoint to change metals in from one thing to another. If you want to, if you will, is considered as magic. Something that is magic being beyond what is supposed to physically happen, changing literally one thing into another. So as it relates to melanin, individuals, just in general, are constantly bombarded by invisible forces, not just the UV rays, what I mentioned earlier as it relates to the sun, but dense emotional projections, psychostatic, and lower vibrational fields. Melanin is viewed as the ultimate tool for spiritual alchemy in terms of absorbing whatever is taking place, those vibrational fields, whatever energy, for lack of a better word, negativity, and making that something different, automatically raising the vibration, or in a sense cleaning or changing that negative thing where it's no longer negative or is no longer harmful. It all of a sudden has no power in a sense to destroy. Just as melanin physically turns harmful radiation into gentle heat, spiritual melanin acts as a shield, if you will. It absorbs negative or dense energies from the environment and instantly transmutes them into neutral energy or usable spiritual power. It allows the individual to walk through lower density environments without absorbing the spiritual quote unquote damage. Melanin is a shield that allows us to do or go or be able to be in the midst of anything without it actually affecting us negatively. Not only does it not affect us negatively, but we actually, just by being who we are, change it.
I like that.
Sheldon, I have a question.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So do we have melanin in our bones too? Because I think about the athletes, we dominate every sport. We really dominate everything. And is it because of the melanin?
Melanin is in all of our cells. It's not just on our skin. Melanin, our cells reproduce it. So it is all throughout our bodies. I just mentioned talking about it for the neuromelanin, the special role that it plays in that area from a larger extent. But every one of your cells is affected and is melanin. So it's as if, just to go a little bit further, when we say we are, in a sense, melanin, melanin, again, allows us to actually be in this earth. It is the earthly version of us. However, to go further than that, we actually predate Earth. So this is only, in a sense, a version of us. It's no different than you putting on, you being you, and then you putting on a huge coat to go in the Arctic. You exist outside of that cold. You're still there. You'll be still exist outside of that cold. The melanin is the version of us that is in this Earth.
Thank you.
It cannot be taken away. It is who we are. And one thing which is kind of how should I say this? An idea or a thought in terms of us. Different indigenous people across the cable line have stories of coming from other places in other star systems. And as I mentioned earlier, in terms of melanin being able to be used and needed for space, it actually goes along with the idea that, of course, it makes sense that the people who have from a cable line who came from other star systems, in a sense, would already be melanin, because it would automatically be needed for space travel, which would have been taking place before the Earth.
I have a question to ask when you're done.
I'm finished.
The scripture that said, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil." When you were talking about melanin and being able to walk through areas, is that scripture in Psalm now? Is it talking about melanin? Is it? Are we looking at it from a different standpoint? Because in the church we looked at it from physical. Based off of what you said, I'm wondering if it's something different now.
I would say this, Myra, which is funny. If that is talking about melanin, it's doing a poor job of talking about melanin. The reason why it's talking about is doing a poor job of talking about melanin is because melanin just doesn't protect from harm. Melanin, in a sense, I don't want to say conquers the harm, but those weapons and the harm no longer actually exist. It completely changes it. So it goes beyond just protection. It goes to actually changing it. But I leave that for others to actually, comment on.
Thank you. Because that translation is not clear anyway. when it talks about the shadow of death, it simply is talking about, give an example of that, I guess, would be this. All of the things that are being done to depopulate the earth and is not being successful in doing it becomes a shadow of death and not death itself. And when we look at that from the perspective of who we are and how the scriptures have been manipulated, though I have not looked at it from the perspective that Myra has presented when she spoke it and when Sheldon responded, what came to me is what I said in reference to the shadow of death, but also I will feel no evil because I'm melanated. I will feel no evil because I know who I am. I will feel no evil because I am God. Because the same pen that wrote that 23rd Psalm wrote the 82nd Psalm as well, that says, I say that ye are gods, but you are dying as though you are mere men. So I can see from what the question is, that melanin being the shield that we've talked about is a transformation, and it transforms that which would be poison into that which would be nutritional. It transforms that which result in death to that which sustains life. Can you see that?
Yeah, that kind of speaks to the alchemy, right?
That's the alchemy of it, yes.
Yeah.
The transformation. Can you see that, Mr. Sheldon?
Yes, I can. And I would actually add one more thing. I would say, Myra, that in a sense, it still serves as a reminder or still is useful and can be looked at as needed, because the component to actually, excuse me, when I mentioned earlier that melanin in a sense can be deactivated, in order to do so, we have to participate in willing to do so. And I was thinking about this when Pastor Richard was talking about the effects of COVID in the community here. And I believe that that was actually allowed to happen through fear. It was the fear that led into the buy-in into the concept of looking through the eyes instead of the eye. And it definitely spread that I am no longer resistant to this particular thing. I think perhaps in Africa, and this is definitely anecdotal, maybe it was just to not even ever taking it serious or paying attention to it to the point where it could not have the same effect. So therefore, would have never been that same fear that was actually experienced here. But yes, I agree with what you just said, Pastor Richard. Okay.
Thank you.
Myra, does that help?
It does. I know I got more questions, but not right now. It does.
Okay.
Please jot them down so you won't forget them if you don't want to erase them right now. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sheldon, I'll leave it up to you, man. You want to pause right now? I'm enjoying where we are, and couple things here I need to listen to again and maybe see if I have questions about them. But you want to pause it or what do you want to?
Yeah, I believe we can pause right now. I was trying to remember what was spoken about. I believe that was last Monday. I had briefly touched on one more of the aspects, but we kind of already went into it. I just can't remember which one it was, but if it will come up if need be naturally. So at the moment, I'm done.
Okay. Excellent discussion. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Hold on.
Very insightful.
Hold on.
Well, thank you guys. You guys have a great week, and can't wait till Saturday.
Well, Ron.
Yes, sir.
This is for Evelyn. I am going to back up just in case there are any questions to go over it, which is the ultimate survivor. Evelyn mentioned this, and it does tie in, but we can also come back later. So in terms of melanin being the ultimate survivor from the physical standpoint, because I just found it, most biological stuff like leaves, skin, or meat, and I mentioned this before, rots and breaks down quickly. Melanin is practically indestructible. It is so tough that scientists are still finding perfectly preserved melanin in the fossilized feathers of dinosaurs and the ink sacs of squids from 160 million years ago. Melanin simply does not just cease to exist in a sense. It does not die, and is believed to have, of course, predate the Earth. And in that Chernobyl situation, that was, when they say fungus, we're basically talking about mushrooms. And mushrooms are also viewed as being predating the Earth and being here during the Earth's origin, and being what's the word? Basically from outer space. Mushrooms or fungus actually predates animals as well as plants. And it was with melanin that it was actually working with. So if you will, there were two very ancient things or entities or substances that were actually working together that existed before Earth. Before we go into the spiritual aspect, which I've mentioned before, but it may be some further takeaways from the further discussion, are there any questions about biologically the existence of melanin and how durable it is? When you think about how it is used to protect and provide energy and power and growth for us in the same way that fungus, it is through, the only difference is that melanin has been shown to be extremely strong and durable even in space and when actually exposed to extremely high levels of radiation. Chlorophyll, which uses the sun to produce energy for plants, is extremely weak when it comes to melanin and doesn't hold a candle to it as it relates to its durability and its strength. And I only bring that up to actually talk about the ultimate survivor attributes of indestructibility of melanin. Any comments or questions?
That speaks to Audrey's internality of it.
Yes. All right. So to review that biological trait, melanin is highly stable, practically indestructible, and can survive intact for hundreds of millions of years, even in the fossil record. And the spiritual connection to this in terms or attribute of this trait as it relates to melanin is cellular memory and dark matter. So in many indigenous and African cosmological traditions, darkness or blackness is not seen as empty or evil. We spoke about this the other day. It is the fertile void, or you want to think about it, the fertile emptiness in a sense. It is the color of the deep earth and the primordial womb of creation. A melanated body is seen as a physical walking mirror of the sacred void. And then as it relates to the Akashic biologically, because melanin survives through deep time, It is viewed as the biological storage drive for ancestral memory. It suggests that the cells absorb cosmic data constantly. Melanin is the substance that holds the cellular comprehension. It is the unbroken tether connecting the individual to Earth's ancient memory, the ancestral spirits, and the macro dark matter of the universe. That is both the connection between the physical and the spiritual in those key concepts that we've been talking about for some while now. And that is the spiritual aspect of the ultimate survivor as it relates to melanin. Questions, thoughts, comments?
Yeah, Sheldon, that's why they say, humans or the Cabelonians were born black and the plants were born green. I mean, there's a reason, in terms of looking at it from the beginning, that again, the creator, saw the first human beings to be of melanin. And the agriculture, every, plant, that was, created, it was originally created to be green. And I think that talks a little bit about, again, the organic life, which resonates with what we're talking about tonight. I just want to share those thoughts. I'm done.
Thank you. Sheldon?
Thoughts or comments? Thank you, George. Go ahead, sir.
No, I was calling you to see if you're going to continue, or are we going to take a pause or whatever?
No, we're going to take I believe we take a pause unless there are any other questions or comments.
I don't want to lose any of this though. So
Oh, no, I don't either, because I still have something I want to say, and we still have one more to touch on, but I like to try to do it with Nick on so he can add to it, that last one. So this is a great time to pause in terms of going to the last superpower attribute.
Okay.
But definitely, if there are any thoughts or questions about that last one, we can, address that right now. And as mentioned before, if any question comes up later by anything we've discussed as well, it's not just now that you should bring them up. You should bring them later if they come up. So we will be waiting on you, Myra. All right. So if there is nothing, I will say this. And it's been a lot that I've actually, learned and able to actually, that resonates and able to see and know of myself as well through all of this. And I would say that all the remarkable things that we've actually talked about this miraculous, amazing, if you will, for lack of better word, substance or particle, that is us. As we sit in awe, we look at, wow, this thing that I never really made aware of and told about or taught in school, all this amazing things. Like, this is incredible. That is us. And I'm finished.
Yeah, that is us. Thank you, man. Great job.
Oh yeah, thank you, Audrey. Thank you for raising that question.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sheldon. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening, guys.
All right. Good night.
Okay.
Night. Have a good evening. Have a good week.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, all of you do.
Thank you.